When I was a kid, there was a term one of my health and sciences teachers used, and it was called prophylactic. We all laughed because we thought it was dirty, because at the time, he was holding a condom. This was back in the day when teachers had full license of their classroom, unlike what we have going on today. We laughed, but I thought about it, and I always thought prophylactic was a cool ass name. So the title of this joint, mental prophylactic. Protecting yourself from blockers, because that's what the prophylactic does. Even in medical speak, which I learned years and years ago, that sometimes you're prophylactically treated for a condition you may or may not have, but the research, the information says it's pretty good to just go ahead and treat you as if you had it, even if you don't, because it's a good protocol. Well, it's about protecting yourself from the blockers. I know you saw the big penis in the sky. I put that video back up on YouTube. Well, I changed the title because so many people's like, where's that video? Where's that video? And the thing is, the world is a cock blocker. If you think about it, if you're in the resale business, you have caught so much flack because you dare to do something different. Your friends, family, maybe even your own spouse doesn't really understand what you do. It's odd. It's strange. And the blockers come out. But before we really get deep into that, we're going to talk about the steps that you can take to actually get to a point where you can handle all that. Because the thing is, whether you prepare for it, if you don't prepare for it, the blockers are coming. This is something that I learned the hard way. The fancy word is crisis management, or as some of us would like to call it, oh shit, what are we going to do now? One of those moments, I'm going to share something with you. It was a survey taken a few years ago. And it's sampling, it extrapolates some data. But essentially the gist is that over half of America could not raise $2,000 cash money within 30 days. Couldn't do it. Now, why is that relevant? I want you to think about something in your own personal life. Most emergencies, not all, but most, can be covered with $2,000 cash on hand. Say you need car work. It's $800. You got the cash? No problem. Say you have to fly out of town at a moment's notice. I mean, seriously, depending upon what the situation is, sometimes the airline will give you a break, sometimes not, or you can go on Priceline, but hey, $400 cash. I want you to really think of a spur of the moment emergency that happened that required you to come forth with some resources, namely cash, that $2,000 wouldn't cover it all. I thought about it in my life. I went really, really way back. And it's like, wow, most. And the reason I speak on this is because one of the biggest things I have, which will be in the How to Raise Money segment of the next webinar, is people are so pressed that $500, $1,000, essentially $2,000 that was not earmarked for anything else, was in a savings account, and the rest of their financial situation was pretty cool, would allow most people to build a very robust resale business within a matter of months. But the thing is, by the time that people find my YouTube channel, they're already pressed, a few car payments behind, or maybe behind on the mortgage, or some situation, and they have been pushed to a point where they have to do something. Hope will never replace skill. Never. And many of these people had good intentions. but good intentions without some type of action or bullshit. They seriously are. And this is the biggest one. This is super, super biggie for me. Honest mistakes carry less weight than the smallest lot of intent. What that means is, say you just screw up. You're not trying to screw up. You're not trying to screw anyone. Something happens. I'll tell you a story. Years and years ago when I was a scrub, and remember, I started off just like you. In some cases, I was in a worse position than many of you. This was a time when I was married. And this was the last separation. And we were in this apartment. Just crazy, crazy stuff. She left me. And it was just, I lost a job. I got fired. I had a part-time job. And I was trying to get another one. But the rent was not going to be paid. With a lot of shame, a lot of guilt, I went to the rental office and I talked to the leasing person. I said, look, I can't pay you. I don't have the money. I'm just going to leave. And that's it. And I just told her the truth. Moved out. And what I did in the move out, I just gave stuff away because I didn't have any money to get a U-Haul. I just gave it away. I had no hustle skills. Looking back, I probably could have made the rent with some of the stuff that I just gave away. But like I said, my mind was blown. So I got out of that situation and I left and I moved in with a friend. And I noticed something. Years and years went by and that never, ever hit my credit report. Don't know if I got slipped through the system. It never, ever hit my credit report. And I never had a problem renting another place. I cleaned out the apartment to the best of my ability. They probably had to replace the carpet, but when I left, there was nothing there. So I don't know if it was an act of goodwill because I left and I didn't cause them to have to go through any gyrations and I made sure the place was empty. Don't know. But it was a horrible situation that many people that I've talked to, that's one of the reasons I get so many emails. And they're in these situations, and I just talk to people. Just talk to people. And I really do believe that if you get yourself in this situation and it's not something crazy that you were trying to be mean or malicious, and you talk to people, it'll work out. That's just my thoughts. Now, this is the thing that we all know will happen. It does. I don't care what you do. I don't care what you prepare for. It happens. And I want you to inscribe on your brain. Shit happens and it will always happen. Going back to some of my videos about the storage auctions, and I was telling you about my fight with the Clampets. And one day I just decided that I was going to beat them. Making that decision's huge because there's 3 of them. I don't care what auction trail I was going. If it was a decent auction trail, one of them was going to be there. There was no running away from them. It's just you got to deal with them. You have to deal with them. And I noticed something. When I made up my mind to start dealing with these people, and this is something I want you to do because everyone has their own set of Clampets in their life. You notice that you will start planning because at first, when they see them, it was just, oh, damn. It was one of those moments because you just knew. And this is the thing that, I look back now, all of a sudden there was this movie that started playing in my mind. As soon as I saw them, bam, oh, hell, they're here. Bam, if a good unit comes up, they're going to bid on it. And I started building this movie of doom and gloom in my mind soon as I saw them. It affects your posture. It affects your confidence. This movie that's going on, they haven't done anything. It's just their reputation and their habits. So they would come and they would get what they want and everyone would be pissed off. The day that I said, you know what, I'm going to just start fighting because I'm tired of buying these crap units, I want some nicer units. I want to make more money. I need to really establish myself. They would show up. The movie was a different movie. It was like, okay, how do we beat them? Well, this is what she does. And when she really likes something, it was a whole different mental posture. So essentially, when you look at the cock blocker a little differently, you activate different mental processes in your mind. And the thing is, what's so really crazy about this is many of us are totally oblivious to this process. It just happens. And this is going to be very controversial, what I'm about to say next. But if you're Catholic, if you're Baptist, if you're Jewish, and you've been those religions since you were born, understand, you didn't pick those religions. They were picked for you. Not to say they were bad or anything. Before you get ready to shoot me, what I'm saying is, just like we accept many things from our parents, we accept many things from society without question. Not saying your religion's bad. Not saying at all. I'm just saying that you really had no choice in the matter. And if you look at people who, for some reason, become disenfranchised, or maybe they hate their parents and they start looking for something else, they actually, at that point, pick a religion. Well, the whole gist of that thing is you can pick how you react to a certain situation. Watching my dear friend die from cancer, she picked the choice to be brave. There was a moment she'd go home and cry because, one time I heard that. But for the most part, she picked to be brave when she was in pain. When I worked in the hospital, I saw other people who made that decision that they were going to be bigger than the disease. Because the thing is, any of you know that when a person in your family gets cancer, everyone gets cancer. Because that's how big it is. But it's a choice. It is a total choice. Now, this is the thing that I have to revisit, because some lessons, unfortunately, you have to relearn. Some are real painful. Now, there's this common term, people are haters, and person's cock blocking because they're hating. It is not hate. It is fear. And it's not fear of you. It's their own personal fears that they want to project on you. You think about it. There you are, living your life. You're not bothering anybody. You're just doing your thing. Booyah, cock blocker. Someone's messing with you. Family members are hating. And the first thing is to go to a basic emotion of jealousy, hate. But it's basic, but it's not the fear that you think it is. Because what you do when you start making changes, you create this big old mirror. So every time they see you, they don't go, bravo, bravo. They start seeing all the things that they're not. They start seeing all those bad decisions. That movie in their head of all the jacked up, messed up stuff that they did that has prevented them from doing the thing that you're doing is playing. And they feel bad. And they start to hate themselves. So they want to pretty much knock you off the block so they don't have to deal with their own emotions. Because understand, you've done nothing to these people. Some of these people you've even helped out, and you're like, why are you hating on me? Because it is an incredibly hard thing for people to manage themselves. That's why we have managers. That's why the majority of the world follows other people. So you got all this stuff going on. But when you understand the methodology, the mechanism of the cock blocking, it's a little easier to deal with. Like if someone says, hey, you need to get the fuck out the way, right? And you're like, wait a minute, I don't even know you, why you're talking to me like that. But if they say, hey, you need to get the fuck out the way because here comes this truck that's careening out of control, you'll just react. Thanks for helping me out, buddy. because you have additional information. When you have additional information, it's easier to make a better choice and understand why you're making a choice. Because the thing is, we don't like making choices just on faith or just doing it. We need a reason. And when people have enough information, they make better choices. So now that you know that the cock blockers are really sad, miserable people due to a lot of their own personal failings. I'm not going to say pity them. I mean, you can if you want to, if that's your view as a person. But understand, investing a lot of energy into them is exactly what they want you to do. Ignore them. Move on. Out, for the guys, and this may even work for the chicks too. But I have a policy, and it's really served me well. If, in a romantic situation, if I meet someone and I call you or text you 2 or 3 times and you don't get back to me, I delete your number. If we're on Facebook and I'm communicating to you and same thing, I delete your number, unfriend you. And it's not because I hate you or anything. You just proven to me that on a very simple level that you do not consider my friendship or knowing me to be that really that important. I mean, it's that simple. It's not like this big thing. It's just like, oh, I don't think you're that important. And for me, I don't invest energy into people who don't think that I'm important. Now, this is where it saved me a lot of anguish because we as guys tend to think, she wants me to pursue her and this other stuff and this other stuff. When you do that, you release them, but you also release yourself because you're not thinking about it. You're not investing energy into it because one of the big things that I had to learn how to do was to turn the spigot off. Stop pouring water into tubs where the drain is wide open. You just blowing energy fast. There's no point. And recently, one of those people, and I'll tell you the story because we're friends. She's gorgeous. I'm not going to say because I think her character is suspect, and I don't really want to know her as a person because some things that she's just turned me off because of her personality. But she's gorgeous. And today I was going through multiple Facebook questions and, hey, stranger, how you doing? And I'm sitting there like, okay, why are you talking to me like this? This is me typing. Click. This is me typing. Why are you talking to me that way? I unfriended you because I think you're a very impolite person. And I don't like people like that in my life. So why are you emailing me today? And I sent that, right? And I thought, she'd go away because she was trying to slink back in, right? Like nothing had happened. Because, see, I also made the decision that once again, going back to what I said, she was released. She was released to the universe. I didn't think about it. I actually forgot her name. Well, she goes on and I get this 5-paragraph response. I'm sorry. I was going through some stuff, blah, 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 blah. I will not bore you with it. But essentially, what I deem, and I could be wrong, but I'm seeing someone, so it doesn't really matter. But she's one of those people that, because of her physical beauty, that men go stupid on her. She can do whatever she wants, say whatever she wants, and there's really no repercussions. And I just, I haven't responded yet, but I thought I would share that to you because when you're investing energy into empty vessels, you are depleting yourself. And when a better vessel come along, it can be a person, it can be a friendship, a romantic friendship, it can be a mentorship. You don't have the energy to put into that worthwhile person because you blew it on someone who wasn't worthy. You really, really have to be careful who you invest in. And this is not on my level or not my level thing. It's really, I spoke to this person, did they speak back? Okay, I spoke to them, they spoke back. We have similar mindsets. We have similar activities. Then the reciprocity begins to build. But if you're just putting out energy, that's a very good way to go crazy. Another way for you to really gain some more protection is what you feed your mind. You really have to feed your mind good stuff. Really do. And we're going to jump to that in a minute. But before we get to that, I truly, truly believe in dreaming big, but do it quietly. Because when you start telling people stuff, this is what's happened to me. You put out that energy, right? I want you to think about this in terms of physics. You're putting out this energy, right? And it's going forth. Just because you can't see the waves, having that thought, creating that desire, creates new energy, and it creates a bunch of ripples. Now understand, if the energy behind that's been around you and in your life has just been kind of stagnant, it's not happy. So that's bad enough, okay? Then you tell someone, understand, they have energy. Then the more people you tell, the more energy that you activate. It's kind of crazy, isn't it? The more people you tell, the more energy you activate. The more chaos that you will unleash on your life. Now, once your dream has some teeth, some bone, it has some muscle, that energy just can't knock it over. But when your dream is only energy and then it gets outnumbered by all this other energy, it's very easy for it to be dissipated, killed. I mean, seriously, some of the biggest dreams in the world never had a chance because that one person talked to the wrong person and it was over. In those 30 seconds, it was over. Because what happens is you become polluted and contaminated. They'll drop that little virus into your dream and you'll leave, but you're taking that virus with you. And what do we know about viruses? In the right environment, they grow. And they grow. Because they're trying to take over the host. So you contaminated your dream by just telling one person. The more people you tell, the more viruses that go into that dream. I started becoming successful when I had enough faith to write down my goals, to dream big, and to press forward in silence. Because being an entrepreneur, a creative person, any person that's really doing something with their life, at times it can be exceptionally lonely because it's just you, your dream, and your work. And at this point, that's when you got to learn how to pull the pom-poms out and do your own cheer, spell out your own name, rock the music, and do all this stuff in your mind to keep you going. Because in the beginning, there may not be anyone there. But that doesn't mean your dream's not worthy. That doesn't mean that you can't make it happen. You have to keep pushing. And learning to be your own cheerleader is one of the best gifts that you can give yourself. This is super, super big. This is huge. This is huge. This is huge. Just like what you believe, what you think about most, you become. What you put into your mind also has a serious effect. Like you've heard me mention this several times. I don't watch a lot of television. And understand, I love movies. I love PBS. I watch PBS. I watch CBS. And I see this contamination of spirits with reality shows. Like there's this one show here in Atlanta, Bad Girl Club. The whole premise of it, there's nothing good that comes from it. And there's something else. And I'm going to share some with you. I had a chance to be on a reality show. And I turned it down. Because due to my research and things I heard, many people that do reality shows exit worse off than they did before they went in. Divorce, bankruptcy, depression, drugs. I mean, seriously, a lot of these people that did reality shows, they came out worse for the wear. And at what cost? And understand, I may be in a lofty position because I'm not Billy Bob broke ass that's never made any money, and someone's saying, hey, you do this television show, we're going to pay you $15,000 per episode. And there's going to be 26 episodes. For many people, that's the lottery. If you're broke, it's hard to say no. And to be factual, if I was broke, who knows? Maybe I would have said yes. I'm in a different position. I thank God I'm in a different position. But it was $7,500 per episode, and they had locked down 12, so about $100,000. But the contract was freaking an inch thick. They wanted parts of books. There were so many things, and it was just like everything in my body said no. I mean, as soon as I got the contract, it was like no. I wasn't even happy. I didn't even tell anybody because it was just like my spidey senses were just going nuts. So that's the thing, when I talk about making decisions that are good for you, those decisions that may be good for you, people may think you're nuts because if they were in your position, they would do something totally different. But that's the thing. I didn't want to be part of it. I think it's eminently harmful to American culture. People's like Honey Boo Boo. And I just look at this stuff, and what it's doing is the attention span of a lot of Americans is already pretty short. If you notice something with programming, there are more commercials than ever. I'm a capitalist. I'm not trying to hate on commercials. I'm not. But I sat there and watched the show with my phone out with the timer. 30-minute show. I saw 18 minutes of show, 12 minutes and some seconds of commercials. The commercials I saw were damaging and offensive. If you ever noticed, virtually every male that's part of a family unit is an idiot. He's the butt of jokes. He has no authority, and everyone else runs over him. That is not something that I want to see. But some of the people who are the most self-conscious, they eat wheatgrass and wheat germ, will think nothing of sitting around and watching a marathon of reality television and watching their synapses and brains corrode. Won't think none of it. Their body's a temple, but their mind is a dungeon with spiders, snakes, viruses, the flu, the Titrinium, Krypton, Star Trek flu. I mean, all kinds of crazy stuff is in their mind. And when you talk to them, you see it. You really do. Now, I'm a metric person. So this is how, actually what goes in my mind is way more good than bad. I mean, essentially for every bad parcel of information that passes the cortex, maybe 15 good parcels to combat it. But I'm not normal. I don't expect you to do what I'm doing. So, but when I started off, this really leveled my life up. When I started putting in 4 positive things for every 1 negative thing, it really turned my life around. Because whether you notice it or not, this stuff's going on in your mind and it has an effect on you. Your mental health is just as important as your physical health. In some cases, it's more important because I love seeing people who are 80, 90, almost 100 years, and you're talking to them and their mind's sharp and they're still there and they're still with us. I want to be that person because as long as your mind is good, you can have an outstanding quality of life. And, and these people they're still mobile on their own and they don't have the chair. I don't want all that. And it's about what you put in your mind. And you have to guard your thoughts as well as you guard your money. You really do. Because it can be crazy what will happen to your mind if you leave it unattended. We've heard about this. Positive self-talk. You're beautiful. That's only part of the action. Positive self-talk that has no other energy can be a pretty much a waste of time. Let me break it down to you what I'm talking about. Say you have a goal of being an entrepreneur. You break up your goal and every day you start working on a piece of your goal. Okay. And then you're like, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. You say it, then there's a corresponding action with that thought. And that creates energy and that moves you forward. It's very, very important. It has to have an action component. Just saying and I wanna, that can go on for perpetuality. You could be 9 years old talking about I wanna. You want, then you do. You dream, you conceive, there's action. There's a certain thing that has to go with that. And another part of keeping your energy level high is replacing blocker think. Because if you were to track your thinking one day, to really take note, and it takes a little practice, because it's like when you're dreaming, when you wake up in the morning, you don't say, hey, I'm going to remember this dream, you'll forget it. But if you're like, I'm going to remember this dream, you'll remember it. I know it's kind of crazy, but it works for me like that. You start thinking of stuff throughout the day instead of, give you an example. If you have a job and it's 4:30, 5 o'clock, you hear people start lamenting, oh God, I can't get in that traffic. They say it, their body, then they continue to say it. And before you know it, there's 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe 10, 15 negative thoughts that ran across the cortex. Then they go home. Little Johnny got a D. Whoo! Berate little Johnny. Okay, so we already had these 15 negative things go wrong, and here's some more. Then little Johnny says, well, it's your fault because you divorced dad. Guilt. Then like 50 negative thoughts run through your mind. So you went from leaving work to being upset about traffic to getting home. Little Johnny has a D. Now you're up at 12 o'clock crying your eyes out because you divorced little Johnny's dad, and essentially from 4:30 to 12 o'clock, you've been in this pool of negativity. For some people, that's a daily reality. Don't be that person. You know, you have to deal with this stuff. So you really have to start combating that. You think of something negative, think of 20 different positive things that you could think of to beat that down to submission, because your mind's on autopilot. All this negative stuff is on autopilot. And just because you're not managing it, it's going in, it's going in, it's going in, and it's having an effect. Now, to help you parse this out, I want you to start keeping a journal of your thoughts. Just sit down 5-10 minutes a day and just write about what's on your mind. And when you write down what's on your mind, and then you start really looking at some of that stuff that comes out, you're like, that's crazy as hell. But it was up in your mind. And up in your mind, it was cozy and you thought it was cool. I'm telling you, when you take some thoughts out of your mind, put them on paper or the computer screen, and you look at them, you're like, whoa, that needed to come out. And it does. Keeping a journal is a great way for you to organize your thoughts and to keep yourself on point. As you know, don't tell anybody. I used to keep written journals. Some were read, and then there was a bunch of, I hate you, blah, blah, blah. You know, why did you write this about me? It's like, well, you weren't supposed to read it, but it happened. But I highly, highly, highly recommend a journal. You don't have to write in it every day, but every day would be great. Doesn't have to be like hours and hours. It can be, I was happy today. Something beautiful happened today. And it's something to reflect on. Because when you look through old journals and you see where your mental state was, you're like, wow, I was a nutcase back then, man. And then you look at the new stuff and it's like, wow, I've grown. It's just like pictures. When you take pictures of yourself as you're growing and going through life, it's always fun to look back and see where you were versus where you are now. Hopefully it's fun, because, you know, some people were better back then and they're kind of worse right now. And those pictures could be like very depressing. But with the journal, it's a great way to reflect and to keep yourself up and to organize your thoughts. And also, it helps with stress. You get that stuff out. You really do. And with that, I'm going to end this session of Mental Mondays. You know, a lot of people said I want it, so this is what you get. And I'll see you on the other side.